Angel had never disobeyed a command in 3 years of service until that night at the airport. She lunged at a baby stroller, barking nonstop, refusing to back down even as a mother screamed and passengers scattered in panic. At first, everyone thought the dog had simply lost control. But when Officer Mercer lifted the baby's blanket, what he found beneath sent airport security into chaos and revealed a story far deeper than anyone expected. So, what exactly was hidden beneath that stroller pad, and why was it there in the first place? First, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us where in the world you're watching from. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. The fluorescent lights of San Francisco International Airport's Terminal G cast harsh shadows across the polished floor as passengers from the late Seoul flight shuffled through customs. Officer Ethan Mercer watched his K-9 partner, Angel, a sleek Belgian Malinois with intelligent amber eyes, perform her routine inspection of the queue. Nothing about this final flight seemed unusual until Angel's demeanor changed in an instant. Without warning, the disciplined customs dog jerked her head toward a young woman pushing a baby stroller. Angel's ears pricked forward, her body tensed, and before Mercer could tighten his grip on the leash, she lunged forward with startling force. "Angel, heel!" Mercer commanded, but it was too late. The K-9 leapt directly toward the stroller, front paws landing on its edge as the woman screamed and jumped backward. The stroller tipped, sending a blue baby blanket sliding to the floor, revealing not just a crying infant, but something metallic gleaming beneath the child. The woman's face drained of color as Mercer caught a glimpse of what had been hidden. "Gun! Everybody down!" Security personnel shouted, their hands reaching for weapons as travelers scattered in panic. What had begun as a routine customs check had just revealed something that would send airport security racing into action and change multiple lives forever. Officer Ethan Mercer hadn't planned on a career in customs and border protection. A training accident had ended his Marine Corps career, leaving him with a titanium rod in his right leg in a search for a purpose that eventually led him to the CBP. His partner, Angel, had an equally unlikely story. Found abandoned near the Arizona border, most handlers had passed over the stray with an unknown history until Mercer recognized her extraordinary intuition. "She's got street smarts," Mercer had told his supervisor when requesting to work with her. "That's not something you can train." Their 3 years together had proven his instincts correct. What Angel lacked in pedigree, she made up for with an uncanny ability to read human behavior. While other K-9s track sense with textbook precision, Angel seemed to detect deception itself, subtle shifts in posture, micro-expressions, or nervous gestures that often escaped human notice. Their partnership had been forged through countless hours of training and real-world experience. The breakthrough had come early during a routine practice sweep, when Angel had veered off from a planted training sent to alert on a maintenance worker's bag that wasn't part of the exercise. Security found prescription medications containing chemical compounds that could be used in improvised explosives, items the worker had forgotten to declare, but that represented a genuine security concern. She wasn't wrong. The head trainer had acknowledged after initially scolding Mercer for allowing Angel to break protocol. She was being thorough. Today had started with their usual pre-shift ritual. Mercer had picked up Angel from the K-9 facility at 5 a.m., taken her for a brisk run along the airport perimeter road, and then spent 30 minutes on refresher training before clocking in for their 7 a.m. shift. "Looking sharp today, Mercer," Supervisor Garcia had commented as they passed the security checkpoint. "Big plans for the weekend, taking Angel hiking up at Point Reyes?" As Mercer had replied, Roswell replied, scratching his partner behind the ears, "She's been cooped up too much with all the overtime we've been pulling." The day had proceeded with the typical rhythm of international arrivals. A nervous college student returning from Amsterdam had been found with marijuana. A businessman from Mexico City had attempted to bring in undeclared jewelry. A family returning from Southeast Asia had been stopped for carrying prohibited fruit in their carry-on. Through it all, Angel had performed with her characteristic blend of discipline and intuition, positioning herself strategically to anticipate potential flight responses before they happened. "That dog of yours is something else," Officer Chin had commented during their lunch break. "The way she stared down that guy trying to skip the declaration line." I swear he started confessing before you even questioned him. Mercer had smiled, slipping Angel a small treat under the table. She's got a sixth sense about people, knows who's hiding something before they even realize they're giving themselves away. As their shift had worn on into evening, both Mercer and Angel had settled into the comfortable fatigue of a productive day. One more flight, the late arrival from Seoul, and they could clock out. Angel had seemed slightly restless during the final hour, pacing more than usual during quiet moments, occasionally whining softly. The 11:15 p.m. arrival from Seoul had been delayed by thunderstorms over the Pacific, pushing their shift nearly an hour past its scheduled end. Terminal G had gradually emptied as other flights completed processing, leaving only a skeleton crew for the final arrival. "Last one, girl," Mercer murmured, scratching behind Angel's ear as they watched the gate doors. Then we're free for 2 whole days. Halfway through processing the passengers, Angel's demeanor shifted. Her ears pricked forward, head turning sharply toward the far end of the terminal, where a muffled child's cry echoed. Mercer followed her gaze to a woman who had just entered, pushing a navy blue stroller with one hand while clutching a large shoulder bag with the other. Something about the woman immediately caught Mercer's attention. Unlike typical travel fatigue, her movements were jittery, eyes constantly scanning with rapid darting glances. Despite the cool air conditioning, sweat glistened on her forehead. Her fingers gripped the stroller handle with white-knuckle intensity. "Angel, check," Mercer said quietly. The Malinois responded instantly, moving into her screening pattern, nose working the air as they circled toward the woman. A low growl emerged from Angel's throat as the baby inside the stroller let out another cry, a sound of discomfort rather than typical fussiness. The woman's reaction to Angel's approach was equally telling. Most passengers either ignored the K-9 or watched with mild curiosity. This woman immediately tried to maneuver the stroller away, putting distance between Angel and the baby with an urgency that seemed excessive. "Is there a problem?" she called out, voice pitched too high. "Can you keep that dog away from my baby, please?" "Just routine, ma'am," Mercer replied, keeping his tone casual. "Where are you arriving from today?" "Seoul," she answered quickly. "Too quickly. Direct flight." "Beautiful baby you've got there," Mercer said, taking a step to the side as if merely continuing his patrol. "Boy or girl?" "Boy," the woman answered, attempting a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "He's 7 months old." "He seems uncomfortable," Mercer observed, noting how the infant squirmed and fussed in the stroller. "Long flight for a little one. He has a bit of a stomach ache," she explained, plus the pressure changes during landing. The flight attendants tried to help, but nothing seemed to work. Mercer nodded sympathetically. "First time flying with him?" "Yes," she replied, relief flooding her features at this apparent explanation for her nervousness. "I've been a nervous wreck about it for days. His first flight, and of course, it ends up delayed." Angel circled closer to the stroller, her nose working overtime. The woman abruptly pulled the stroller back, creating distance. "Could you please call your dog off?" she asked, panic edging her voice. "I don't want him frightening the baby." "Angel is very gentle with children," Mercer said, noting her escalating anxiety. "She's actually specially trained to be around infants." This was a lie. Angel had no such specific training, but the woman's widened eyes and quickened breathing told him something important. A typical mother might be reassured. This woman's anxiety visibly increased. "Still, I'd prefer she stayed away," she insisted, moving the stroller again. "He's already upset enough." Angel let out a soft whine, a sound Mercer recognized as frustration. The dog knew something was wrong and was trying to communicate it. Mercer checked her documents. The passport identified her as Melissa Chun, 32, with multiple Asian entry stamps. Her baby's passport showed Benjamin Chun, 7 months, with a single entry from South Korea. As the baby cried again, Mercer noticed something odd. The blanket didn't move naturally with the baby's movements. There seemed to be something rigid beneath it, restricting the infant's ability to shift comfortably. "It seems like he's really uncomfortable," Mercer commented. "Mind if I have a look? Sometimes buckles get twisted during flights." "No." The response came too quickly, too forcefully. She immediately tried to soften it. I mean, he's fine. I just change him in the airplane bathroom. He just needs his crib and he'll settle down. Angel's posture had changed again, becoming more rigid, her attention unwavering from the stroller. Mercer had never seen her so fixated on an infant before. In their 3 years together, she had encountered countless babies during screenings, typically giving them little more than a cursory sniff before moving on. That's a nice cross necklace, Mercer observed, noting the gold chain around the woman's neck. Another attempt to establish rapport while gathering information. Religious, her hand flew to her throat, touching the pendant. Yes, it was my mother's. The baby cried again, a sound of genuine distress. Mercer's concern deepened, not just for whatever contraband might be hidden, but for the infant's well-being. Ma'am, I understand you're tired and wanting to get through customs, he said, abandoning the casual approach. But my canine partner is indicating that something requires further inspection, and I can see that your baby is in discomfort. I need to check the stroller. Fear flashed across her face, followed by an attempt at outrage. This is ridiculous. You're harassing a single mother because your dog is poorly trained. Deciding to try a strategic retreat, Mercer gently tugged Angel's leash. Come, Angel, let's continue our rounds. To his surprise, Angel resisted, something she had never done. The Malinois planted her feet firmly, refusing to move away from the stroller. Instead of complying, she began to bark urgently, the sound echoing through the now-quiet terminal. Several customs officers looked their way, including Supervisor Garcia, who approached rapidly. "Control your dog," Mission demanded, her face flushing with what appeared to be anger, but what Mercer now recognized as fear. "I apologize for the disturbance," Mercer said, genuinely embarrassed by Angel's unprecedented behavior. Nevertheless, her insistence only strengthened his suspicion. In 3 years, she had never, not once, disobeyed a direct command unless there was significant cause. "What's going on here, Mercer?" Garcia asked, his expression concerned. "Sir, Angel has been alerting strongly to this passenger stroller. She's never behaved this way before." Angel suddenly lunged toward the stroller again, paws landing on its edge. The woman screamed, yanking it backward with enough force to nearly topple it. "Get that animal away from my child," she shouted, loud enough that all processing in the terminal had stopped. Mercer quickly pulled Angel back. "Angel down," he commanded, and this time she complied, though her body remained tense, eyes locked on the stroller. Garcia glanced between the agitated woman, the whimpering baby, and the still tense Malinois. "Miss Chun, I apologize for any distress. Officer Mercer is one of our most experienced handlers, and if his K9 is showing this level of concern, we do need to conduct a brief inspection." "This is harassment," she insisted, her voice shaking. "I want to speak to someone higher up." Mercer noticed her grip on the stroller had become almost desperate, her knuckles white against the handle. The baby continued to cry, his distress seemingly increasing. "Ma'am," Mercer said quietly, "I'm genuinely concerned about your baby's comfort. Something seems to be causing him significant distress. Please, let us check the stroller. If there's nothing of concern, you'll be on your way immediately with our sincere apologies." For a moment, indecision flickered across her face. The baby let out another cry, this one weaker, almost exhausted. "No," she said finally, her voice hardening. "I won't have you traumatizing my child further. I know my rights. You need probable cause, not just a dog behavior." Garcia stepped closer. "Ms. Chun, at international borders, CBP has broad authority to conduct searches without warrants. Angel is a certified detection K9, and her alert constitutes sufficient grounds for inspection." After a tense standoff, they escorted Ms. Chun to Secondary Inspection Room 3. Officer Ramirez, a female officer, joined them as Mercer examined the shoulder bag. Finding nothing unusual, Angel, however, remained fixated on the stroller. "Now, I need to examine the stroller," Mercer said. "Would you mind lifting your son out?" Her body tensed. "He's finally settling down. If I move him, he'll start crying again." "Ms. Chun," Garcia insisted, We need to inspect the stroller completely. Ma'am, Officer Ramirez said softly, I'm a mother, too. I know how protective we feel, but your baby seems uncomfortable. Let's make sure everything is okay. The woman's composure cracked, eyes welling with tears. You don't understand, she whispered. Help us understand, Mercer urged. Your baby's welfare comes first for all of us. With trembling hands, she lifted the baby from the stroller, cradling him against her chest. The infant, a beautiful child with dark hair and round cheeks, looked exhausted, his eyes half closed. Officer Ramirez will hold him while we check the stroller, Garcia instructed. No. Ms. Chen clutched the baby tighter. I won't hand him to strangers. Then please step back with your child, Mercer said, approaching the empty stroller. Angel was already there, nose working intently over the baby blanket. Mercer carefully lifted it, revealing what appeared to be a standard stroller pad beneath. But as he ran his hand over the padding, he felt something unmistakable, a hard, unnatural shape beneath the fabric. Using his pocket knife, he carefully cut a small slit in the pad seam, then pulled the opening wider. His breath caught as the metallic gleam of a handgun became visible, secured to the stroller's frame beneath the padding. Not just any handgun. A Glock 19 loaded with the safety off. Gun, he announced calmly, immediately stepping back and drawing his service weapon. Ma'am, please place the baby in the stroller and step away. The color drained from her face. It's not what you think. Place the baby in the stroller now, Garcia repeated, his hand also moving to his weapon. Tears streamed down the woman's face as she gently placed the now sleeping infant back in the stroller, carefully avoiding the exposed weapon. He doesn't know, she whispered. He had nothing to do with this. Step back and place your hand behind your head, Mercer instructed, maintaining a professional demeanor despite the adrenaline surging through his system. She complied, her body seeming to fold in on itself as she assumed the position. Garcia quickly secured her with handcuffs, while Mercer called for additional officers and an evidence team. Melissa Chun, you're being detained for bringing an undeclared firearm through an international border, Garcia informed her, reciting her rights as Mercer carefully secured the weapon. Upon closer inspection, the gun's serial number had been filed off, indicating it was likely stolen or intended for illegal use. Beneath the stroller padding, they also discovered a small plastic bag containing additional ammunition. As Officer Ramirez gently lifted the baby, checking him for any injuries, Mercer knelt beside Angel, who had finally relaxed now that the hidden threat had been revealed. Good girl, he whispered, running his hand along her sleek coat. You knew all along. The Malinois leaned against his leg briefly, their private moment of acknowledgement before returning to professional distance required during processing. Ms. Chin stood silently, tears continuing to fall as she watched Officer Ramirez tend to her baby. Whatever her story was, Mercer knew it was far more complicated than a simple smuggling attempt. No one risked bringing a concealed weapon through international customs with their infant strapped above it without profound desperation or fear. Ms. Chun, Mercer said, we need to know the truth now. Why were you bringing this weapon into the country? And whose safety were you concerned about? 3 hours later, Mercer sat across from Melissa Chun in the airport's secure interview room. The stark fluorescent lighting emphasized the dark circles under her eyes and the tear tracks on her cheeks. Her handcuffs had been removed, a cup of untouched coffee cooling on the table before her. In the adjacent room, Officer Ramirez remained with baby Benjamin, who had been examined by airport medical staff and declared healthy, though dehydrated and exhausted. Agent Diana Powell from Homeland Security had joined the interview, adding her expertise in human trafficking and domestic violence cases that crossed international borders. Ms. Chun, Mercer began, Angel lying alertly at his feet. The weapon you were transporting has been identified as stolen from a gun shop in Tacoma last year. The penalties for international weapons smuggling are severe, 20 years minimum. If you're involved with arms trafficking, cooperation now is your best option. She looked up, her eyes hollow with exhaustion, but suddenly fierce. I'm not a weapons dealer. I was trying to protect my son. From what? From his father, she replied, her voice breaking slightly. His name is Robert Keller. We met in Seattle 4 years ago when I was working as a translator for a tech company. He was charming, successful, everything I thought I wanted. She paused, struggling to maintain composure. The abuse started after we were married. Small things at first, controlling my schedule, isolating me from friends. Then it became physical. Why didn't you report it? Mercer asked, though he knew the common reasons. I did once, she replied bitterly. The responding officers were his friends from his security company. Nothing happened, except he punished me worse afterward. He has connections everywhere. Police, border patrol, private security. He told me no one would believe me, and he was right. And the baby? Powell asked. When I discovered I was pregnant, I thought it would change him. It made him worse. Said a child would ensure I could never leave him. When Benjamin was born 5 months ago. 5 months. Mercer interrupted. Your documentation says 7 months. I altered his birth certificate. Robert has been searching for us since I left. I changed everything I could. Continue about when Benjamin was born. Powell encouraged. Robert became obsessed with controlling every aspect of his care. He installed cameras in the nursery, tracked my phone, followed me to pediatrician appointments. Then one night, I overheard him on the phone planning to take Benjamin to his parents in Alaska without me. He said I was an unfit mother, and he had evidence to prove it. She took another sip of coffee, her hand steadier now. I knew then I had to leave. My parents are in Seoul. My real parents, not the fake background I created in my customs declaration. I used cash to buy tickets. Left in the middle of the night, while Robert was on a business trip. And the gun? Mercer asked. Robert has firearms everywhere. I took one from his collection before I left. I knew if he found us. She didn't finish the sentence. I couldn't leave it in Seoul with my parents, and I was afraid to fly without protection. I know it was stupid, but I was desperate. Why come back to the U.S.? Powell questioned. Why not stay in South Korea? My visa was expiring. As a Korean citizen who gave up residency years ago, I could only stay temporarily. My parents are elderly. They couldn't come with me. I was planning to establish a new identity in Canada. I have contacts there who could help Benjamin and me disappear. The story aligned with the evidence they'd gathered. Her passport contained a Korean citizenship stamp, not American as she'd initially portrayed. Calls to South Korean authorities had confirmed her parents' existence and corroborated parts of her timeline. Ms. Chun, Powell said carefully, we need to verify your claims about Robert Keller. Do you have documentation of the abuse? Police reports, medical records, anything? She reached up to touch her cross necklace, a gesture Mercer had noticed repeatedly. The evidence is right here, she said quietly, twisting the gold cross to reveal a tiny USB drive built into its base. Videos from our home security system, hospital records I managed to download, financial documents showing how he controlled all our accounts, everything. Powell took the USB drive, promising to review it immediately. I understand why you felt you needed protection, Mercer said, but bringing an unsecured weapon beneath your baby. I know, she interrupted, fresh tears welling. I've replayed that decision 1,000 times. I was so focused on getting away that I didn't think clearly about the risks to Benjamin. The stroller was the only place Robert would never search if he found us. He never once changed a diaper or adjusted Benjamin's car seat. He considered baby care women's work. Mercer exchanged glances with Powell. They both recognized the hallmarks of genuine domestic violence cases. The detailed explanations, the mixture of clear planning and desperate decisions, the hidden evidence. What happens now? Melissa asked, her voice small. Will I lose Benjamin? That depends on what we verify. Powell replied honestly. Weapon smuggling is a federal offense, but there are provisions for extreme circumstances. If your allegations are substantiated, we can involve domestic violence advocates and potentially arrange protective measures. He'll find us, Melissa whispered. He always said if I ever left, he'd find me and take Benjamin. Said no court would give custody to an unstable foreign woman over an American businessman with resources. Mercer felt Angel shift at his feet, the Malinois having remained attentive throughout the interview. Her earlier behavior made perfect sense now. She hadn't just detected the weapon, but had sensed the woman's genuine fear and the baby's discomfort. "Miss Chun," Mercer said, making a decision he hoped he wouldn't regret. "I believe you, and I promise we'll do everything possible to keep you and Benjamin safe while we investigate. But you need to trust the process and be completely honest with us moving forward." For the first time since they had encountered her, Melissa's expression showed something beyond fear, a fragile hope that perhaps this time someone would actually help. 6 months later, Mercer parked his SUV outside a modest house in a quiet Seattle suburb. Angel sat up in the back seat, recognizing their location with a soft whine of anticipation. "Yes, we're visiting them," Mercer confirmed, smiling at his partner's enthusiasm. "But remember, best behavior around Benjamin." The front door opened before they reached it, revealing Melissa, looking healthier than he'd ever seen her. Her face relaxed, her eyes clear. In her arms, Benjamin gurgled happily, waving chubby hands at their visitors. "Officer Mercer." "Angel, please come in," she greeted, genuine warmth in her voice. The home was small but comfortable, with toys scattered across the living room floor and children's books stacked on the coffee table. Photos showed Benjamin with his grandparents, who had received emergency visas during the legal proceedings. "How are you both settling in?" Mercer asked. "Better each week," she replied, watching as Angel cautiously approached Benjamin, lying down at a respectful distance while the baby regarded her with fascination. The restraining order was extended again, and Robert's bail was revoked after he tried to contact me through a co-worker. The evidence on Melissa's USB drive had proven extensive and damning. Security footage showed multiple instances of physical abuse. Robert shoving her into walls, dragging her by her hair, once even striking her while she was holding the newborn Benjamin. Financial records revealed systematic isolation and control, with Robert limiting her access to their joint accounts and monitoring every purchase. Medical records documented accidents that clearly weren't, including a broken wrist and multiple bruises that hospital staff had noted as suspicious. Most damning were recorded phone conversations where Robert discussed using his connections to have Melissa deported if she ever tried to leave, including plans to report her as an unfit mother based on fabricated evidence. The investigation had expanded to include Robert's security company, uncovering corruption extending to several local law enforcement officials who had buried previous reports. Federal charges for witness intimidation and evidence tampering had been added to the domestic violence case. As for Melissa, the weapons charge hadn't been dismissed, but given the extraordinary circumstances, the U.S. attorney had agreed to a plea arrangement: probation, community service, and mandatory counseling with the possibility of expungement after 3 years. "I've been meaning to ask," Mercer said, accepting the coffee Melissa offered. "Why did you name him Benjamin? Is there a family connection?" She smiled, watching her son interact with Angel. "In Hebrew, Benjamin means son of my right hand. In Korean tradition, the right hand represents protection. Even during the worst times, I believed someone would protect us when I couldn't protect myself." Her gaze shifted to Angel. "I just never expected that someone would have 4 legs. I'm getting a dog," she added, "from a program that matches rescued sheltered dogs with women leaving abusive situations." "That's an excellent idea," Mercer nodded. "The trainer says having a dog changes everything. Not just the practical security, but the emotional support when you're starting over." She watched Benjamin gently stroking Angel's fur. Men like Robert target women they can isolate. A dog is a connection that can't be controlled. As they prepared to leave, Melissa hesitated at the door. "The security system is being installed tomorrow. The new identities are almost ready. Once we relocate to the confidential address, I won't be able to maintain contact." Mercer understood. The witness protection aspect of her case required complete severance from her previous life, including the officers involved in her case. "You're going to be fine," he assured her. "Both of you. Because of you," she said simply, "and especially because of her." She knelt to Angel's level, meeting the dog's intelligent gaze directly. "Thank you for seeing past what I was doing to why I was doing it. Thank you for saving us both." Angel responded with a gentle nudge of her nose against Melissa's hand, a gesture that needed no translation. As they drove away, Mercer glanced at Angel in the rearview mirror. You knew she wasn't a criminal from the start, didn't you? You sensed she was protecting her baby, not smuggling for profit. Angel's ears perked forward at the sound of his voice, her expression somehow conveying both wisdom and innocence simultaneously. A reminder that sometimes the truest understanding comes not from words or evidence, but from instincts humans have forgotten how to trust. Have you ever witnessed an animal sense danger or deception when humans missed all the signs? Animals often possess an uncanny ability to read situations beyond our understanding, reminding us that intelligence takes many forms beyond human perception. What would you have done in Melissa's position? Risk everything to protect your child, even knowing the legal consequences could separate you? If this story touched you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more extraordinary K9 tales. Press the notification bell so you never miss our new uploads. Share this video with friends and family who appreciate remarkable stories about customs dogs and the incredible officers who work with them. Check out our other K9 hero stories appearing on your screen right now, including the amazing tale of a tracking dog who found a missing Alzheimer's patient during a blizzard and the bomb detection K9 who cleared a school minutes before disaster. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another brand new video.